There are 6 major developments happening in the world today that could be preparing the world for the arrival of the DAJJAL. And sadly, most Muslims don't even know it. The world is already preparing for the appearance of the DAJJAL. The DAJJAL will come out when everything for him seems smooth and under control. Today, we will discuss each one of them, how they affect our lives, who are the main players, and why we are their victims. By the end of this video, you'll see how digital identity, food, global power, and other developments fit into a much bigger picture, and why millions of Muslims believe these are not just random events. Number 1, the digital ID. For most of human history, you could disappear. You could move to another town, start a new life, and almost nobody would know where you went. Today, that's becoming almost impossible. Around the world, governments are rapidly building digital identity systems. The European Union has required all 27 member states to offer a digital identity wallet, while India's Aadhaar system has already enrolled more than 1.3 billion people into one of the world's largest biometric identity databases. During the COVID-19 pandemic, millions of people experienced something completely new. Digital certificates determined who could travel, who could enter certain places, and in some countries, who could continue working. At the same time, initiatives such as ID 2020, supported by Bill Gates and other organizations, aim to provide every person on Earth with a secure and verifiable digital identity. For the first time in history, the technology to identify, track, verify, and potentially restrict billions of people already exists. Number 2, normalizing the one eye. During the 2026 FIFA World Cup opening ceremony, millions of people around the world were watching. Then something caught the attention of thousands online. Singer Belinda stepped onto the stage wearing a bright pink outfit, looked directly into the camera, raised both of her hands into a triangle, and placed one eye right in the center. Now you will say, what the issues with making this sign? Actually, this is the sign of DAJJAL. One eye's because he will blind on one eye, and it's showing power. Now, watch a music video. Look at major advertising campaigns. Again and again and again, the same image appears. One eye, sometimes covered, sometimes highlighted, sometimes framed inside a triangle. Rihanna, Lady Gaga, Beyonce, Jay-Z, Katy Perry, even football superstar Lionel Messi has an eye tattooed on his hand. Coincidence? Maybe. Now just see the $1 note. You will clearly notice a pyramid, and above it, an eye symbol in a triangle. And above, you will see the text, Annuit Keptis, meaning he has favored our undertakings. And below, you will see Novus Ordo Seclorum, which means New World Order, with the number 1776 in Roman numerals. And here, things get more interesting. On May 1st, 1776, the Illuminati organization came into being, which is a secret society working for the DAJJAL's preparation. So overall, these are hidden messages left by secret societies like the Illuminati or powerful global elites. According to this theory, the eye represents their secret surveillance, and the unfinished pyramid symbolizes a plan for world dominance. Number 3, controlling the food. Imagine this. You wake up tomorrow. You still have money in your pocket. You walk into the supermarket, but the shelves are empty. No rice, no wheat, no vegetables. Not because food no longer exists, but because someone else controls who gets it. It sounds like the plot of a movie. Yet nearly 1400 years ago, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, described a time when the DAJJAL would test humanity through food itself. He said the DAJJAL would command the sky to withhold its rain and the earth to withhold its crops. Those who followed him would find food and prosperity, while those who rejected him would face hunger and hardship. Sahih Muslim 2937. For centuries, this sounded impossible. How could one man ever influence something as enormous as the world's food supply? But when you look at the world today, the picture becomes much more interesting. One of the world's richest men, Bill Gates, and you guys know him from that island, has quietly become the largest private owner of farmland in the United States, owning around 242,000 acres across multiple states. And the interesting part is that all of the food is being saved, and none of it is going out to the market. He has invested in companies working on food preservation technologies, designed to keep fruits and vegetables fresh for much longer. But farmland is only part of the story. Over the years, Gates has invested billions of dollars into agricultural technology, climate-smart farming, and companies developing lab-grown meat produced from animal cells inside laboratories instead of raising livestock on farms. Supporters say these technologies could help feed a growing population while reducing environmental damage. Critics ask a different question. If the future of food slowly moves from family farms to laboratories, and from millions of independent farmers to a handful of powerful corporations, who will eventually control what ends up on your plate? The same question appears when we look at seeds. Today, just 4 multinational companies, Bayer, Corteva, Syngenta, and BASF control more than half of the world's commercial seed market. Modern farmers increasingly rely on hybrid seeds because they usually produce bigger harvests, stronger crops, and better resistance to disease. But there is another side to the story. Many hybrid seeds do not reliably produce the same quality crop when their harvested seeds are planted again. Instead of saving seeds from one harvest to grow the next, something farmers had done for generations, and now purchase fresh commercial seeds every season. And it's no longer under the farmer's control. If the supply ever stops, we don't know what will happen. Meanwhile, hidden inside a mountain in Norway sits one of the most secure buildings on Earth, where the world's original seeds are stored. The Svalbard Global Seed Vault stores more than 1.3 million seed samples collected from over 100 countries. Officially, it exists as humanity's emergency backup in case wars, natural disasters, or climate change destroy important crops. But we know what might happen later. That explanation may be completely true, but it also reminds us of something remarkable. The original genetic diversity of many of the world's crops is being preserved in one highly protected location, where an ordinary farmer can't simply go or has no control over accessing those seeds. So basically, both the original seeds and the hybrid seeds are under their control, and we are just the buyers. Nobody knows if or when that supply could stop. The same pattern can also be seen in livestock. Today, many farms no longer rely only on natural breeding. Artificial insemination has become common, allowing farmers to improve genetics and increase productivity. Modern biotechnology even allows farmers to greatly increase the chances of producing either male or female calves through specialized breeding techniques. Supporters see this as scientific progress. Others worry that agriculture is becoming increasingly dependent on biotechnology controlled by relatively few companies. Some critics even speculate that if this dependence continues for generations, farmers may become more reliant on commercial breeding systems than on traditional methods. That remains a prediction, not an established fact, but it raises an important question. How much control over the world's food supply should exist in the hands of so few? And then there is water. Across the world, massive dams continue to reshape rivers. Groundwater is pumped from beneath the earth on an enormous scale. Scientists warn that fresh water may become one of the greatest challenges of this century. In many regions, water is already becoming more valuable than oil. Are all of these developments connected? No one can honestly say. But one thing is beyond debate. The more food, the more seeds, the more livestock, and the more water become concentrated into fewer hands, the easier it becomes for whoever controls them to influence everyone else. And if someone could one day control what you eat, imagine what they could do if they also controlled your money. Now, if you want to know everything about the DAJJAL, his entire history, and most importantly, how to prepare yourself for his fitna, watch next this video can lias. We explain everything in detail that you probably don't know. The link is in the description. Now, coming to the next preparation. Number 4, normalizing music. Walk through almost any city today and you'll notice something. Music is everywhere. In shopping malls, restaurants, gyms, cars, cafes. Even while scrolling through social media, there's always another song playing in the background. Shaitan no longer needs to invite people to it. The world plays it for him. Modern researchers have found that music activates the brain's reward system, which helps explain why people become emotionally attached to it. The music industry spends billions creating songs designed to capture attention, stir emotions, and keep people listening for as long as possible. More than 1400 years ago, the Prophet, peace be upon him, warned that near the end of time, people would make musical instruments and intoxicants seem completely normal and acceptable in their daily lives. Look around today. Many people can sing every word of the latest viral song, yet struggle to remember a short surah from the Quran or even their morning adkar. And this is exactly where Shaitan wants you. He doesn't care if your ears are always busy, as long as they're not listening to the words of Allah. Because when the heart is constantly filled with entertainment, it slowly becomes empty of remembrance. The sweetness of the Quran begins to fade. Dhikr feels heavy. Salah becomes routine instead of a conversation with Allah. Slowly, without even realizing it, the spiritual heart starts becoming harder and harder. Not because music physically damages the heart, but because Shaitan uses constant distraction to pull that heart away from Allah. A heart that is alive with the Quran recognizes truth, but a heart that has become distant from Allah is far easier to deceive. And perhaps that's exactly why, before the greatest deception in history arrives, Shaitan first works to silence the remembrance of Allah within people's hearts. Number 5, controlling government. Right now, almost every president and prime minister, especially in the Muslim world, appears to be a puppet, and that is how the system continues to function. Whenever a Muslim leader openly stands against powerful countries like America or strongly opposes Israel, they are removed within a short period and replaced by a new president or prime minister. Everything traces back to the fall of the Ottoman Empire. The leaders who sided with the Western powers were promised their own kingdoms, positions of power, and independent states if they separated themselves from the Ottoman Sultanate. Once the empire was dismantled, it was divided into many smaller countries, each with its own government, making them easier to influence and manage. Since then, every state has been led by its own leadership, and the same pattern has continued to this day. Take Pakistan as an example. Despite being a nuclear power, it appears weak when it comes to Palestine, the wider Muslim world, and even many of its own internal issues. The country continues to rely on IMF loans. The same can be said about several Gulf countries, which host American military bases, as well as other Muslim-majority nations, such as Indonesia and Malaysia. Leaders such as King Faisal, Saddam Hussein, and Muammar Gaddafi are often cited as examples of those who challenged American influence and were later removed from power. The ultimate objective, according to this view, is to divide large powers into smaller states because smaller countries are easier to influence, monitor, and control than one strong, united empire. Number 6. The Greater Israel Plan. For decades, one map has continued to appear in discussions about the future of the Middle East. It's called Greater Israel. According to this idea, the borders of Israel would one day extend far beyond the country's current borders. Today, that map is no longer discussed only on the internet. Images have circulated online showing maps associated with the Greater Israel idea appearing on some military patches and in public discussions, bringing the topic back into the spotlight. Now go back to 1982. An Israeli journalist named Oded Yinon published a strategic essay arguing that Israel's long-term security would be stronger if several neighboring Arab countries became weaker and more divided. He specifically mentioned countries including Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, Egypt, and Saudi Arabia. Then look at what happened over the following decades. Wars, civil conflicts, political instability, one country after another. Then came another historic moment. In 2020, the Abraham Accords normalized relations between Israel and several Arab countries, even though the Palestinian issue remained unresolved. Now compare all of this with what the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, told us. The authentic hadith place many of the major events of the end times, including the appearance of the DAJJAL and the return of Isa alayhi salam, in and around Ash-Sham, the region that includes Palestine, Syria, Jordan, and Lebanon. No one can honestly say that today's events are the direct fulfillment of those prophecies. But one thing is clear: the very land the Prophet, peace be upon him, told us about has become the center of the world's attention. And perhaps the Prophet, peace be upon him, warned us about the Dajjal, not to frighten us, but to prepare us. So don't just prepare your mind, prepare your heart, because that's where the real battle will begin.